All right, so this is the iPhone 13 mini, and I've been using it for about a month now. And I would say I've been really enjoying this device. Now, from the iPhone, I want to say 6, things have been kind of weird because I've always wanted a big device, but after having a big device for many years, it's kind of refreshing to go back to a smaller phone that fits comfortably in my hand. Hi, this is Dave with Apple Fan Dad, aka AF Dads. And Apple, they finally did it. They built a phone that I think most people actually wanted. Now, I've had this phone for about a month now, maybe a little bit over a month now, and I'm going to give you my review. Now, I waited about a month because I just wanted to make sure that I was able to give you the most accurate opinion that I have on this device. Before I get into it, I just want to let you know, according to the rumors, this will be the last year that Apple will make a mini version of its iPhone, but the key word here is rumor. So I'm going to tell you how things have been since I've been using this phone for the last month, and this may help you determine if this device is right for you. Okay, so let me start off with the design. As you can see, guys, we got these flat edges, which is exactly the same as what we had last year with the iPhone lineup. Now, initially, I wanted to go with the product red, but I settled for the midnight color simply because I'm a pretty simple guy. As for Apple, they are really, really weird with colors. One year, the product red looks one way, and you're like, oh man, that's really nice. I believe that the iPhone 8 was the one with the product red that was really nice. But then it's like the colors are always changing. So a lot of times you're looking at the colors online and it doesn't really fully represent the colors of the actual device. And a lot of times it's not even the picture of the phone. It's just more of a stock image. Now, I didn't do an unboxing, but overall you should know what's inside the box. So I am not going to waste your time talking about what's inside the box, probably because you already know. Now, on the front here, we have a full screen, which I'll get into a little bit later in the video. We have a dual camera setup here. The front and back is held together with this aluminum band. On one side, you have the usual iPhone buttons, which is the mute switch, the speaker, the mic, and then the good old lightning port. Now, just to hold the phone in my hand, it feels really good for the most part. I would say I do have pretty large hands, but with the iPhone 13 mini, it fits really comfortably in my hand. The nice thing is I really like having the phone in my hand because I don't feel like I'm going to, drop the device compared to using my iPhone 12 Pro Max. As you can see here, I can actually type with one hand and I can reach the top and left corner of the device with little to no effort, which was definitely not possible with the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Now, for me, I always buy Apple leather case for my iPhones, and this is no exception. Unfortunately, I am not one of those crazies who walks around with no case on their device. I just like the feel of the leather case in my hand because it feels really, really premium. But using the case, I think it protects the two cameras on the back a little bit better compared to if you did not have a case. For the most part, I think a lot of you guys out there, you deal with this when you don't have a case on your phone, and you're kind of always walking around with the feeling of stressfulness. I'm not sure if that's a word, but I think I just maybe made up a word. But in any case, you kind of walk around stressed out because you're carrying this $1,000 phone, and you will really be sad if you drop it. The idea of someone cracking their screen, even if I don't know them, would really hurt my feelings. Okay, so let's talk about the display. Now, the big difference between the iPhone 13 mini and the iPhone 12 mini is the display is actually brighter. This display on the iPhone 13 mini can get up to 1200 nits, and it also supports HDR, which makes things easier on the eye when you're using this like on a sunny day. Now, during my time using the device, I would say I really didn't have any issues seeing the screen in pretty much any environment. So this device comes in a 60 hertz display, compared to the Pro, which has a 120 hertz display. But I will say this: you don't really notice a difference because of the size of the screen. I really don't think it's a big deal. You know, iPhones, they've always had a buttery smooth transition, and this is no exception. So I don't think you will miss the 120 hertz display. I think the brightness that I talked about a little bit earlier with the 1200 nits and having the sharpness of that 5-point-inch Retina display, I think it's going to be enough for almost anybody. And I would definitely say it's definitely enough for me. Now, the notch on the iPhone 13 mini is slightly narrower than the iPhone 12 mini, but doesn't really have any huge benefits as far as I'm concerned. I was hoping that Apple would bring back that percentage sign in the upper right-hand corner. Now, we do have widgets to take care of that, but it would have been a nice add in my opinion. Now, compared to the iPhone 12 Pro Max and the iPhone 13 that I have in my hand here, I haven't really seen any differences with Face ID in terms of how fast it reacts to your face for unlocking. Moving on to the speakers on iPhone 13, they're decent, and for the most part, you can hear things fairly clearly. The iPhone 12 Pro Max is a bit louder, and that's pretty much because the iPhone 13 Pro Max has a slightly larger speaker. So that's why it's slightly larger. But otherwise, I wouldn't say that would be a deal breaker if you were trying to decide between the Pro models and the regular iPhone 13. Now, I tend to use my AirPod Pros when consuming media on my device, but I had to use the phone to take some phone calls where I use a speakerphone, and, I also use it for, watching some YouTube videos or, watching a YouTube short. And I haven't had any issues hearing from the speakers. An iPhone 13 does come with a brand new A15 chip, which is actually a bit faster than the previous iPhone. Now, I personally don't do Geekbench tests because I think they're pretty pointless, but it is definitely faster, and you won't have any issues with lag on the iPhone 13 mini. The next thing I like about pretty much any iPhone in general is the support that Apple provides to these devices. So for the iPhone 13, you should be looking at about 5 years of support and software updates, which is very, very nice. Now, the cameras for the iPhone 13 mini are brand new for both the wide and the ultra wide. They're both slightly brighter, but the ultra wide actually gets something from the iPhone 12 Pro Max, which is called sensor shift. And for the most part, it's sort of like image stabilization. So when you're moving, when you're taking pictures or video, there's pretty much close to no blur. Now, does the iPhone 13 mini take better pictures than the iPhone 12 Pro Max? To be quite honest, I don't really know. But I will say the pictures and videos look pretty good. I have no complaints. The one thing I will say is when the lighting conditions are not ideal, I find that the ultra wide definitely performs better. So we talked about the hardware. So I kind of want to move into the software of the camera just to kind of finish up this video. And there's a couple new software features that you're going to get. And the first is cinematic mode, and the second is called photographic style. And I'm not going to spend too much time with photographic style because for the most part, it's pretty much a filter that you have in real time when you're taking photographs. You can change the images to be warmer or brighter just to give it a sort of different feel or style. Now, cinematic mode creates this bokeh effect, which is pretty much equivalent to having a lens with an expensive camera that has a really fast aperture. Now, the cool thing I really like about this cinematic mode is you can actually make adjustments for the videos that you're taking, which is a really nice touch, and it really is going to kick up your videos a notch when you're looking at the results. The cinematic mode only supports 1080p and I believe at 30 frames per second, but overall It does look really good. Maybe in the future with the iPhone 14, we'll see 60 frames per second at 4K. Keep in mind that this is just not limited to the iPhone 13 mini. The Pro models also are limited to 1080p with cinematic mode. Now let's talk about the battery before we finish up the video, which probably is one of the most important discussion points. What Apple is telling us is the device will get 17 hours of video playback versus 15 hours on the 12 mini. I'll be honest, I really had a hard time trying to figure out how long the battery lasts because I don't have a 9 to 5 job. But I would say if you are someone who's going to consume a lot of media on this device, I would highly suggest get yourself like one of those portable power packs. Ideally, Apple's MagSafe portable power pack fits really nicely. But with light use, you shouldn't have any issues getting through the day on one charge. As far as price, the iPhone mini starts at $699 for 128. You can go up to the 256 for $799 or 512 for $999. It's so weird how it jumps $200 when you go from 256 to 512. But I went with the 256 on my iPhone 13 mini. I felt like that's the sweet spot, and I'm able to take a lot of pictures and videos of my lovely family. I think the iPhone 13 mini was a perfect upgrade for me. Initially, I did buy an iPhone 13 Pro when it first came out, but after having an iPhone 13 Pro, I didn't feel like the device was worthy of the price I paid because I had an iPhone 12 Pro Max and I didn't really see much of a difference. But to recap, the cameras are great. The brightness of the screen is definitely a huge improvement, and the better battery life in most cases will get you through a full day. I don't think you'll be missing the promotion that's not available on the iPhone 13 mini. And I didn't mention this, but the iPhone 13 mini has only 2 cameras, so you are missing that total photo lens, which is on the 13 Pro. And I just don't feel like that's enough to sway me to the Pro model and pay that extra money. I particularly like this device, and I really like the form factor because it fits really nicely in my hand. And I will say, if you are interested in picking up this device, I would get it sooner rather than later, since the rumors point to Apple will not be releasing a mini version of the iPhone 14 in 2022. Otherwise, subscribe if you want to see more videos from Apple Fan Dad. Give the video a thumbs up, and I will talk to you guys in the next one.